Welcome back to Talk of the Town. I'm Karen Allen, and I'm here with Juwana Jackson, who is a life coach. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Let's talk about this. One reason I wanted to have this particular conversation with you as a life coach, when we were talking earlier, we both have a passion to reach the younger girls, especially in the area of self-esteem and self-worth. Very important. I know we've seen it go well, and we've seen it go bad.
Yes.
With these young girls. So let's talk about it. What do you think it's the biggest reason that the girls nowadays are struggling so much with their self-worth and their self-esteem?
I don't know that there's a biggest reason. I think there are multiple reasons. One being, of course, the media. We hear a lot about the media and the impact the media has on our young girls. You know, if Taylor Swift loses 5 pounds, all the young girls are losing 5 pounds. If Miley Cyrus is gaining 5 pounds, now they're gaining 5 pounds. So we know about the media. But I think there are other factors that we don't really key into. Those, one, for example, would be parents. How parents are interacting with their girls is very important.
How so? What do you mean by that?
Well, for one thing, as a parent, you have to be sure that you're giving your daughter positive affirmation. It's easy to do that if she's getting A's, you know, or if everything is going well. But what if she was a D and now she's a C student? Are you celebrating that small victory with her? Or are you still pointing the finger, I want the A, I want the A? So just taking the time to give positive affirmation. Another great thing is, how are you responding to her self-image issues? You know, is she saying, well, I'm not pretty? I was recently having a conversation. I was hosting an event, in fact, and one of the ladies said, you know, as a child growing up, kids would tease me that I wasn't pretty. Well, when I talked with my parents about it, they said, well, don't worry about it. You're pretty on the inside. She said, so what does that mean? I'm not really pretty. I'm only pretty on the inside. And it could be very confusing. So how are you responding to that?
Wow.
You know, as a parent.
Yeah.
Another thing, and this is probably the most important, does your daughter know that your love is unconditional? No matter what she does, she has the room to make mistakes. Your love will be there in and out. Another example or another opportunity for parents would be when the girls are expressing themselves, okay? Maybe you don't like her new haircut, but guess what? If she's expressing herself, let her express herself, because what you don't want to do is cause her to be a follower. Once she starts following you, she'll follow anyone, because now you have made her a follower. So these are things that parents could really look at, you know, how am I interacting with my girl?
Do you think parents understand the importance of being so involved in that role? Do you think they get that?
I think so. I think, though, especially when girls are in the tweens, teens, it could be very challenging for parents. I mean, what do you say? Maybe you're going to say the wrong thing. Maybe you're going to say the right thing. You just don't know, because they're going through those developmental changes, but you have to say something.
Yeah, and I like how you stated, Juwana, that when you said, are you praising their grades and affirming them with words, and that it's not just about looks. Why do you think we just kind of attribute self-image to looks, and how do you think that really plays out?
I think that it's the society that we live in. You know, we have American idols, we have celebrities, we have stars. I think, and that's all about looks. That's all about the physical. Yeah. But, you know, when a girl is going to have a positive self-image, it's going to be more than her looks. It might not even involve her looks at all. You know, maybe it is her grades. Maybe it is the talents that she possesses. And so as parents, you know, we have to look at those things, and as supporters of the young girls, we have to be able to identify those positive attributes.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, when we deal with these young girls, I do believe that looks are a part of it, and the media does feed into that, you know, a size or a shape or whatever. But I think that what I've learned is some of the strongest young girls, I mean, just girls that you look at and say, wow, she's got her head on straight. You know, I think when that happens, it's because across the board, they've been affirmed.
Yes.
They've been affirmed, you know, whether it's you look fine, you know, you are beautiful on the inside and the outside,
right.
And you're smart and all of those things. And I think that is, when I find a strong girl like that, she's been affirmed across the board. Yes. And unfortunately, I think we're the ones who just relate self-image and self-worth to looks. and there's so much more to that. One of the links that I'd like for you and I to discuss is the father-daughter link. How important is that, and what are some tips that a dad can learn, even if, you know, statistics show that half of families are divorced, and so a lot of the times the children are not living in the home with the dads. But what can the dads still do to encourage self-worth and self-esteem in their girls?
I am so glad you brought that up. I like to tell fathers, you are the first man your daughter will ever love. And so you are setting the standard, a foundation for what she will look for in men, which she's willing to accept from a man, because you are that first man she will ever love. So I love date nights, you know, just you and your daughter, giving her the opportunity to talk and learn about boys. In a few weeks, I'm going to do a conference for Girl Scouts of America, and the subject I'm speaking on is all you need to know about boys. Scary.
It's
Very scary. But if a father is in the home, then he's talking about the things that you need to know about boys. You understand? And he's setting that standard. So I really do. I like date night. I like the little gifts, you know, maybe cookies, maybe candy. I still like getting candy from my dad. Yeah. Ice cream, donuts, you know, those kinds of things. I love it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just being there for her and listening.
Yeah.
Listening.
It's so important. I also just have a heart for, you know, these fathers and the daughters, because we all know that as the girls get older and they're in that tweens, like you said, that tween, whether it's like 12, 13, and I feel like dads begin to pull away a little bit because it's awkward. The girls cry all the time. You know, the dads don't know what to do. And physical touch is, you know, all of a sudden it feels a little bit weird because they're 12 and they're 13. But, you know, a girl still desires her dad's admiration, her affection, her attention. So what would you say to that dad who says, oh, but it just feels weird? What would you say to him?
Have a talk with her, because it doesn't always feel weird. You know, we've been tweens. It doesn't
just
always
a few years
feel
ago, Juwana. What are you talking about?
I know. But it doesn't always feel weird. You know, it might feel weird in front of my 13 and 14-year-old friends. Okay, Dad, you know what? We're at school. Let's not go there. But if it's just the two of us, maybe Mom's there, maybe a sibling, it's not weird.
Yeah.
You know, Dad, give me a kiss on the cheek at night, or, you know, whatever is appropriate in our family setting.
And that's fair too. There's safe boundaries, you know, that we all feel, and I just, it's so important. And I know that a lot of people will dismiss that father-daughter relationship for several reasons, whether it's because the dad's not in the home, they see, you know, or whatever. But I think it's safe to say that, I love how you said that's the first man that your daughter will ever love is that dad, you know, is your daddy. And so it's important to continue that bond and continue that. Yes. And hopefully that will secure that girl in who she is. Yes. So what are some healthy ways that these young girls can deal with their poor self-image? Unfortunately, we're seeing them younger and younger. Yes. With whether it's the eating, the eating issues, or just a lot of girls are cutting now. What are some healthy ways that they can deal with these poor self-image issues?
Sure. One thing is to decide where you picked it up. A lot of times we are taking what other people have said about us and we're owning it. It's not the way we feel about ourselves. It's just what maybe a friend said, you know, your thighs are too big, or, you know, maybe a sibling, because sometimes sibling rivalry can get very ugly. You know, maybe a sibling said, your nose is too small, or whatever. So decide, where'd you learn that? Is it really how you feel about yourself? Then another thing is, find that attribute that you really love and improve it. I mean, let it be the feature. How can I really like my eyes. Well, let that be the feature. You don't like your lips? Don't focus on your lips. Let's focus on your eyes. Another thing is to improve on a gift. We all have gifts. And when we improve on a gift, we spend less time obsessing over our flaws. Not only that, when we improve on a gift, we start to see ourselves through the gift. And so we've improved, and we're really good at this, and we're proud of ourselves. So it doesn't really matter how I'm looking on the outside, or if I'm not so good at science, or whatever the situation may be. Now I'm seeing I'm good at this. Another thing I like is to build a team of people who love you. Go around, ask them, what are some great things that you see in me? You know, what are positive attributes that I bring? Write them down. And when you start to feel like, oh, I'm not worth anything, or whatever goes through your mind, pull it out and remind yourself, here are great things people said about me. It really, really works.
Very true.
And the last thing that I would say is choose a day. And on that day, take a day off from focusing on your self-image. Just take the day off. So on that day when, you know, maybe a thought comes to mind, dismiss it. I'm not dealing with that today. And before long, you'll do that for 2 days because you'll feel so good after that one day of not beating yourself up. So those are some ways that, you know, we could really kind of downplay it and then hopefully eventually eliminate the problem.
Do you think girls are hard on themselves?
Absolutely. We are. I think even as women, we are very hard on ourselves. I do a lot of life coaching, and of course, I'm exclusive to women and teenage girls. And one of the first questions I ask is, tell me something great about yourself.
Is that hard for some girls to do?
Girls and women alike.
Yeah.
I mean, it's dead silence. And I'm like, really? You're a great mom. And, you know, I'll start naming out things, you know, and even with the girls now, you know, you're great at your academics, and I'm naming things, and it's like, they're looking at me like, are you talking about me? You know?
How important is turning off that negative self-talk?
It is, it's going to make or break, because it doesn't matter what I'm saying to you. If you're saying that you're not worth anything, then you can't receive what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and not only that, you're always with yourself. I'm only around sometimes, you understand? So when I'm around, you feel good, but when I'm not, and you're not getting that positive affirmation from a third party or from an outside source, now you're back to, oh, I'm nothing. So you really have to be able to turn off that voice.
Well, so great tips. I think everything that you said is really helpful in helping parents and teenagers alike really plug in to the things that are going to help them bring out the best. Where can people get more information about you and your life coaching?
Sure. I have a website, freetoflourish.com. It's free, the number 2, flourish.com.
Great.